Alright, in this video we are going to see and learn how we can customize all of the chart of accounts that we already have in Sage and customize it according to our project. It's not necessary that we have all the exact ledgers in Sage created by default. So we need to edit some of the ledgers names. Even we need to create some new ones. So let's see how we can do this. First of all, if you want to extract the chart of accounts area or go to that section, we will click on banking section. Before it was used to be a business category here, and now it's in banking. So most people get confused to locate this chart of accounts area. So it's right here in the banking section, we have chart of accounts. But if you're new and you don't know how to find it, most of the times, not only in Sage, but in most of the softwares, you go to list or some section from the top, and there you can find that area. So we also have it in the list and chart of account section. Here we have a detailed list of chart of accounts that is created according to our business type. We initially selected a business type of a manufacturing company. So it has tried its best to create all of the ledgers, but still some of the names will be generic. Like here it's checking account. Checking account means bank account. But we want a specific name, whether it's Citibank account or Bank of America account. So in that case, we have to change the name. So just copy this. If we want to change the name of a particular ledger like this one, we just simply double click here. It will open up some area like this one. And there we have account ID already set. Account type is cash. Now guys, the bank and the cash have same kind of nature. They are used to receive or pay money. So that's why in Sage, the account type we only have is cash. We don't have bank. So in that case, we'll use this account type for the cash and bank both. But in QuickBooks, let's say, we have bank only. We don't have the cash as type. So that's different for different softwares, but just understand the logic that account type is according to the nature of that particular ledger. So here the purpose is to receive and pay money. So we'll choose account type as cash. So save it. We already had this ledger. We just edited the name and now we can see the updated name. If you don't see it or if it don't automatically refresh, you can refresh it from the top here as well. So let's click on refresh and here you go. Now, even though we have created one, we still need an other account. And that one is the Bank of America account. So let's copy this name and we need to create a new one. If you notice the account sequence, we have 1010 and then 1020. So there is a difference or gap of 10. So this means that if you want to insert a new ledger in between these two ledgers, we can create it to any number we want. For example, 1015 we can use, and similarly any sequence we want to use, we can use that. So click on new. And let's create it in 1015. Description will be the ledger name, which is Bank of America. I just copied the name. Account type will be cash, as I explained earlier. Click on save and close out of here. Again, if you don't see it refreshed or shown right here, you can refresh it from the top. Just let me zoom it so that you can see all the ledgers clearly. Just hold the control key from the keyboard. And if you have a mouse which has a wheel, just scroll the wheel to increase or reduce the size. After that, we can adjust the columns of each ledger details like this. So just hold it from the between area where you see this line right at the end of the column, and just hold it from there and adjust it however you want. So I'll just make this room for other details. The next account we have is Standard Chartered Bank. It looks like this is a bank account, but it's clearly mentioned in the bracket that this is a loan account. Sometimes you open a bank account just to apply for a loan with the bank. So there is a condition that you need to open a bank account with them, and then it will be considered as a loan account for automated payments or however you want it. But this account is a liability account or a long-term liability account. We have took business loan from this specific bank. So the type will be the long-term liabilities account. Here we have long-term liabilities, long-term debt, non-current. What we can do is just simply double click here and just change the name of it. Loan account. Sometimes there's specific limit of characters. So in that case, you can just shorten the name of the ledger And if you want to mention the name like loan account, you can do that as well. But in my case, let's mention Standard Chartered loan account. Let's mention that and click on save. If you notice here, some account IDs are starting from one sequence and some are starting from two, and same goes on for 3, 4, 5, 6. So there is a specific sequence which has a specific meaning. All the account IDs which are starting from 1 will be asset, 2 is for liabilities, 3 is for equity, 4 is for revenue, 5 is for cost of goods sold, and 6 is for direct or indirect expenses. I mentioned this coding sequence here and before as well, so you can check that videos out. But I'll also attach this document with the resources section of this video, and that will be very useful for you because not only in Sage you follow this sequence, but almost in 90% of the accounting softwares follows the same sequence of chart of accounts coding. Mostly the difference come right at the end, which is in the expenses, other expenses, and indirect expenses. Some categorize it as from 6 to 7, it's all combined, whether it's direct expenses or indirect expenses. But in some other, they separately mention the 6 is direct expenses, 7 is indirect expenses, and 9 will be adjustment account in most of the cases. So sometimes some of the chart of account coding sequence is different, but mostly all of them follows the same sequence. I'll attach this one with the link of this video. All right, let's move forward. And long-term liabilities name is changed now. It's Standard Chartered loan account. Next we have on the list is cash. Cash on hand is already there, so we don't need to change this name. Next one we have debtors. This is also common for all the companies. All the companies has debtors account. So let's scroll down and search for the assets category. Assets, as I told you, should be in account ID starting from 1. But if you have a lot of ledgers, I found this one in 1100, but if we have a lot of ledgers and we are still unable to find it, or we're finding it difficult to locate the ledger, we can do what? We can search for it. We can change the ID to description if you want to search by name, and if you want to search by ID, we'll keep it as it is. We also can search it with the balance and a specific type. So in this case, I want to find a receivable, but with the description. So just mention that and right here, receivable, and click search. And here it is, account receivable. So I don't need to change this. Whenever you want to clear this search, you click here. Next one is inventory or stock. Just copy this. In case we need to create one or edit one, we just copy this. And inventory, we have all the inventory types here. Raw materials, work in progress, finished goods. So we don't need to create new ones. In this case, we are considering that at this opening point, at the point when we are implementing this system, we only had raw materials in the stock and not the finished goods. I know this is an ideal scenario for a manufacturing company that they don't have any kind of finished goods, but that's the way it is. We are just following this one, that we only had the raw materials at the starting. Rent security. Rent security is the security which is for the long term. Let's say we have acquired a building on rent, and the security that we paid to the owner will be returned when we leave the building or leave the office. So this is kept with the owner. Let's see that we have it or not. We have different ledgers, but I don't think we have this category. So let's create new one. Since it goes under asset, we can choose what? We can choose, let's say 1450 before starting fixed assets. Fixed assets are starting from 1500 sequence. So let's make it 1450. Make sure that it is available and not already used. So this account ID is available. Description, I'll just put here rent security and just choose the relevant one. Since I don't categorize it as a current asset, I can categorize it as other asset, because the current asset is what is for the short term and converted to some other form within 1 year. But that's not the case with security deposit, right? So just choose other assets and click save. And that's how we create it. Close out of here. If it doesn't show up here, you need to refresh. Next one is machinery, which is a fixed asset. We might already have it, but in some cases we also need to create it. So we have property, plant and equipment and accumulated depreciation for property, plant and equipment only. So if you categorize the machinery as property, plant and equipment, which it is, you can just change the name, or just remember that you will enter the balance in the same area. Now guys, you might be thinking that I'm just creating the ledgers and not putting any balances here. That's because this is the beauty of this software. You just create all the ledgers and then we will enter all the balances together. It's make it so much convenient and also error free, that I'll show later on. So let's continue with this. Let's actually make it exactly according to our assignment. Just double click here and paste it right here. Click save, close out of here. Next one we have is accumulated depreciation of the same account. Just double click here. Accumulated depreciation is a contra asset, which by default is an asset, but it reduces the value of it. If you want to learn more about it, I'll attach a resource with it, a document which explains how the accumulated depreciation works, what it is, and how the treatment will be done in accounting. So accumulated depreciation of machinery, the account type is selected to accumulated depreciation. Save. And these are the only fixed assets account, I guess, here. But we have more here. No, actually we don't have more. We will move straight to the creditors, which is a payable account. Let's copy it in case we need to create one. And we have the payables right here. As I said, in the account coding, 2 is for liabilities. So this is starting from 2. Accounts payable is already here. We don't need to create this. Next is accrued expenses. Accrued expenses is what is pending to be paid. Like let's say electricity bill. You receive the bill on the end of the January, or we need to pay some of our employees. This is our expense for January, but we are usually paying at the next month, right? Let's say on 3rd, on 4th of February, but that specific expense is related to January. So that needs to be recorded in January, but still it is not paid yet. So what you will credit? You cannot credit cash or bank. So instead, we will create an account payable liability account, which can be called accrued expenses, which is called accrued expenses. Even if you name it as bills payable or whatever is the liability name, you name it as accrued expenses, or the nature of it is accrued expenses. So that's about it. You can read in detail. I'll attach with the link of this video. So I've searched for it and we don't find it. So let's create a new one, but let's just note where we will create this. Since it is a current liability, we can create it anywhere here. So let's create it in 2315. Click new. 2315 is free. Let's create it here. Name of it is accrued expenses and it goes under other current liabilities. Click save and this should automatically update. If it doesn't, you need to click on the refresh from the top right here. Right here is the refresh button. Next is sales tax payable. This is also a liability account. Next one we have is sales tax payable. The amount is 175,000 and we need to record it in the liabilities. If we check the liability section, we already have a lot of accounts in the other current liabilities and some of them to taxes as well. But the name is different. So if you feel that you won't be using this tax account, so rather what you can do is instead of creating new one, just double click here and just change the name here. I'll just paste it right here, click save, and that's done. Okay, next one is general reserves and the amount is 1 million. So if we go in the equity area, which starts from 3 coding, according to our coding sequence, we see that we have 3910, which is retained earnings. Owner's contribution is on 3920, while the 3930 is for owner's withdrawals. So what we need to do is we need to create a new one. And as we can see, there's a gap of 10 in each ledger. So I can categorize it as 3940 at the end, or if we want to configure it in the middle of these numbering sequence, so we can configure it on 3915 as well. So let's continue with this 3940. Let's click on new from the top. So this is 3940. Let's copy and paste the name here, which is this one. And let's categorize it as equity doesn't close. Just remember that whenever any ledger balance in the equity adds up in future as well, like the general reserves will add up in future. It's not one-time contribution. So that's why it's equity doesn't close. If it is only one-time balance at the starting when we imported all the balances or we put that manually, at that spot, whatever is a fixed balance, you can configure it as equity gets closed. So that's the logic of it. Click on save. And the final one we have is net owner's equity, which is 21450,000. Now, if we want to extract this balance according to accounting equation, which is capital is equal to asset minus liability, because as we already know that asset is equal to capital plus liability is an accounting equation. So if you want to extract capital, you will just do a simple math, and which is asset minus liability is equal to capital. So this means that at the opening position, there's no expenses, there's no income, everything is shifted to general reserves or retained earnings. So we only have three accounts or three type of accounts in the opening balances or trial balance. We have the assets, liabilities, and capital. So whatever is from the profit and loss will be shifted to retained earnings, which is a capital. So this means that if you add up all the assets and minus the liabilities from that, you will reach on this figure. Now, in some of the accounting softwares, you don't need to enter this balance. This will be automatically created, but in Sage, you need to enter this manually as well. So we have an area for this, which is this one, net owner's contribution. I'll just double click here. And if you want to change the name to net owner's equity, you can change that. Otherwise, you will keep it as it is. But since this is not a one-time contribution, this is net owner's equity. So instead, what we will do is just copy the name. We'll paste it right here. And not only that, we will set it to equity doesn't close and click on save. And that's how we configure all the chart of accounts where we have created some new ones. We have edited the name, and we can also delete any extra accounts. Let's say that in the expenses category, or let's say in the liability section, we don't need a couple of accounts. So what you can do is, if you haven't yet entered any kind of balance here, just double click here on any ledger and you can delete it simply from here. Click yes, and that's how you do it. So that's how you can create all the ledgers and make adjustments to the chart of accounts. Just try it by yourself, and I'll see you in the next one.